Airpoles were places where time bent in uncomfortable ways, where minutes stretched and emotions compressed into tight knots. On this flight, the cabin felt especially tense. The elderly black couple sat quietly in their seats near the middle row, hands folded, backs straight, eyes calm. Their clothes were modest but immaculate. The man's silver beard was neatly trimmed, his eyes sharp with experience. The woman beside him carried a dignity that no aisle could contain, her posture proud despite her age. The flight attendant stopped abruptly in front of him. She was young, blonde, and visibly irritated, her jaw clenched as if patience were a limited resource. Her voice cut through the cabin, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. She accused them of sitting in the wrong seats, of delaying boarding, of causing unnecessary trouble. Her finger pointed inches from the woman's face, sharp and accusing. Other passengers shifted uncomfortably. Some looked away, pretending not to notice. Others watched with thinly veiled curiosity, as if humiliation were a form of entertainment. The couple remained composed. The man calmly asked her to check the boarding passes again. His voice was steady, respectful, almost gentle. The attendant scoffed. She raised her voice further, her words laced with contempt. She questioned their ability to understand instructions, mocked their accents, and finally hurled the sentence that froze the air itself. She told them to go back to Africa, as if centuries of history could be dismissed with a careless insult. A hush spread through the cabin. The woman's eyes glistened, not with fear, but with something older, heavier. The man's hand tightened around hers. Still, neither raised their voice. Their silence was not weakness. It was restraint forged through decades of surviving indignities like this one. A businessman across the aisle frowned, clearly disturbed, but said nothing. A young woman in the window seat bit her lip, torn between outrage and fear of confrontation. The aircraft hummed on, indifferent to human cruelty. The attendant crossed her arms, waiting for submission. When it did not come, her frustration grew. She demanded they leave the plane, insisting she would call security. Her confidence was absolute. She believed power rested solely in her uniform. The man slowly reached into his jacket pocket. The attendant smirked, assuming he was fumbling for excuses. Instead, he produced their boarding passes and calmly placed them on the tray table. First class, seats exactly where they were sitting. The attendant barely glanced before waving them away. She accused them of forgery. Her voice trembled now, anger masking uncertainty. The man met her eyes directly for the first time. In that moment, something shifted. He spoke softly, but every word carried weight. He explained that they had flown thousands of miles, across continents and decades, building something from nothing. He said he understood her frustration, but not her cruelty. The woman beside him nodded, her hand still steady in his. A murmur rippled through the cabin. Passengers leaned closer, sensing a turning tide. The attendant's confidence faltered. She reached for her intercom, her movements jerky. Before she could speak, another flight attendant approached. Older, composed, eyes sharp with professionalism. She looked from the couple to her colleague and immediately sensed the imbalance. She asked what was happening. The younger attendant launched into a defensive explanation, words tumbling over each other. The captain emerged from the cockpit and walked directly to them. He introduced himself and offered a heartfelt apology on behalf of the airline. He thanked them for their patience and dignity. Then he said something that made the cabin fall silent again. He acknowledged their names, not as passengers, but as founders, owners, the people who had invested in the airline decades ago, believing in a future that many had doubted. The airline existed because of their vision. Hours later, as the plane descended toward its destination, the cabin felt different, lighter, as if a lesson had been learned, not through shouting, but through grace. When they stood to disembark, several passengers stopped them to apologize, to thank them, to express admiration. The couple accepted each interaction with humility. As they walked down the jet bridge, the woman glanced back once. The aircraft stood gleaming under the lights, a symbol of progress still imperfect, still learning. Across the airport, the dismissed attendant sat alone, her confidence shattered. She replayed the scene again and again, each word echoing louder now. For the first time, she understood the weight of her assumptions. Consequences were no longer abstract. Board members convened within hours. Policies were reviewed. Training programs were expanded. Not because of public pressure, but because the founders demanded it. They believed businesses carried moral responsibility, not just profit margin. Later that evening, the couple arrived at their hotel. The city lights reflected in the glass, shimmering like possibilities still unfolding. They ordered a simple meal and ate quietly, exhaustion finally settling into their bones. The woman broke the silence. She said she was tired of being surprised by cruelty. The man nodded. He admitted he was tired of being unsurprised. They laughed softly, a shared release. They spoke of their grandchildren, of futures they hoped would be gentler. They knew progress was uneven, fragile, but moments like today mattered. They created ripples. Morning light warmed the horizon. The woman brewed tea while the man opened mail. Among envelopes was a handwritten note from a passenger. It spoke of courage found through witnessing restraint. The woman smiled. They placed the letter in a drawer with others like it. Not trophies, reminders. Later, they walked together through their neighborhood, greeting neighbors. Life felt grounded. In the afternoon, they sat quietly, listening to wind chimes. The man said softly that respect must be modeled, not demanded. The woman agreed. As evening arrived, they shared dinner and laughter. Their world remained flawed, but their resolve did not waver. They rested knowing tomorrow would bring new challenges, and they would meet them the same way. Together, with calm strength and unwavering dignity. Night settled gently. Stars emerged. The couple stood side by side, silent, contempt. Somewhere far above, another aircraft traced light across darkness. They watched until it vanished, trusting that small acts of decency would continue traveling forward, carried by people willing to choose humanity again and again, without applause, always, with quiet courage and compassion.